Physics 9.5, Simple Machines and Mechanical Advantage. We're diving straight into the foundational physics that literally allows human beings to move the world.
Think about this for a second. Have you ever tried pulling a rusty, stubborn nail out of a wooden board with just your bare hands? It's practically impossible, right? You can pull and tug until your fingers ache, and that nail absolutely will not budge. But slide a heavy metal crowbar under that exact same nail, gently press down on the handle, and pop! It comes out like it was resting in butter. So, why does that happen? Where did that extra strength suddenly come from?
Well, by the end of this explainer, you're going to understand exactly why. You'll master the physics concept of simple machines, the mathematical formula behind them, and exactly how you can apply this knowledge to real-world scenarios. We're breaking down the mechanics step by step so you walk away with a really deep, practical understanding.
Section 1. The Power of Simple Machines. Let's get right into it.
To figure out how we pulled that stubborn nail, we need to look at this definition. A simple machine is a device used to multiply or augment a force we apply. But notice the absolutely crucial second half of that sentence. It's often at the expense of the distance through which we apply it. Fun fact for you, the word machine actually comes from an ancient Greek word that literally means to help make things easier. And that is exactly what a lever, a gear, or a pulley does. They don't magically do the work for you out of nowhere. They just elegantly rearrange the math so your standard human muscles can accomplish superhuman tasks.
Section 2. Calculating Mechanical Advantage. Let's see how this builds into the actual mathematics we use to measure this help.
The big, key term here is mechanical advantage, or MA. Think of this as your physical multiplier. It's the technical metric. Basically, it's the exact ratio of the output force, meaning the force the machine applies to the object, to the input force, which is the effort you are putting into the machine.
So the absolutely crucial point is this core formula. MA equals FO divided by FI. Output force divided by input force. Let's make this super easy with a quick example. Say you push down on a lever with 10 newtons of force, and the other end of the lever lifts a heavy rock with 50 newtons of force. Boom. Your mechanical advantage is 5. Your simple machine just multiplied your effort by 5.
But wait, what if you don't know the exact weight of the rock or the exact force of your muscles? This is what's so brilliant about simple machines. We can find the mechanical advantage using just a tape measure. Step 1. Identify the pivot point, which is also known as the fulcrum. Step 2. Measure the distance from that pivot to where you apply your force. We call that the input lever arm. Step 3. Measure from the pivot to the heavy load. That's your output lever arm. Finally, just divide the input distance by the output distance. It's that simple. A longer handle on your crowbar means a larger input distance, which mathematically guarantees a massive mechanical advantage.
All right, time for a quick retention checkpoint. Pop quiz. Does a simple machine do more work than the energy you put into it? Take a second and think about your fundamental physics rules here. If I use a lever to effortlessly lift a heavy engine block, did that lever somehow generate free energy?
No. The answer is a resounding no. Energy is always conserved. The universe never gives you free energy, sadly. Machines simply reduce the input force needed by trading it for distance. You have to push the long end of that crowbar down a full 10 inches just to lift the nail one single inch. You trade a long distance to multiply your pushing force. That trade-off is the absolute golden rule of all simple machines.
Section 3. Real-world lever examples. Let's connect these concepts directly to real life.
Let's compare two things you probably have sitting in your garage right now, a wheelbarrow and a shovel. They are both levers, but their pivots are placed differently, entirely changing their physics. Look at the wheelbarrow first. The heavy load of dirt is sitting right between the pivot, which is the front wheel's axle, and your hands. This means your input distance is longer than the load's output distance, resulting in a mechanical advantage greater than 1. Now look at the shovel. The pivot is the handle in your back hand, but the input force is your front hand, which is situated between the pivot and the heavy load of dirt on the blade. Because your input distance is shorter than the output distance, this gives the shovel a mechanical advantage of less than 1.
Let's put some hard numbers to that wheelbarrow to show its true power. Based on an awesome example from our OpenStax physics resource, if you have a wheelbarrow where your hands are 1.02 meters from the front wheel and the load center of gravity is just 7.5 centimeters from the wheel, you calculate the advantage by dividing those distances. The result? 13.6. Your upward lifting force is literally multiplied by 13.6. That is exactly why you can casually cart around heavy bags of concrete in a wheelbarrow that you could never even dream of lifting off the ground by yourself.
Now, you might be wondering, and honestly, this is a super common point of confusion for students. Wait a minute, if a shovel has a mechanical advantage of less than 1, meaning I literally have to put in more force than the actual weight of the dirt I'm lifting, why on earth do we even use it?
Well, here is the absolute genius of the shovel. A shovel willingly sacrifices force to gain output, distance, and control. Because the mechanical advantage is less than 1, a really small, tight movement of your hands results in a huge, fast, sweeping motion of the shovel blade. You aren't trying to lift a boulder here. You're trying to toss loose dirt quickly into a pile. You pay a tiny tax with a little extra input force to buy speed, reach, and efficiency. It's a real game changer.
Section 4. Wheels, cranks, and pulleys. We've seen that straight levers are incredibly versatile, but what happens when we start bending them into circles?
It turns out a crank, a gear, or a wheel is physics-wise simply a lever that can be rotated 360 degrees around its pivot. It might not look like a crowbar, but the actions remain exactly the same. The pivot is just the center axle. The input and output distances, those are just the physical radii of the wheel and the axle. Think about a large steering wheel on a boat. It gives you a massive input radius, creating a huge mechanical advantage over the tiny axle that actually turns the rudder against the heavy rushing water.
And then we have the ultimate force multipliers, pulley systems. If you're dealing with a friction-free pulley system, the math is beautiful and incredibly simple. You literally just count the number of cables pulling directly upward on the system of interest. 2 cables pulling upward, your mechanical advantage is about 2. 3 cables, the advantage is 3. 4 cables pulling straight up, you guessed it, an advantage of 4. Each additional attachment effectively adds an external force in the same direction, mathematically multiplying your upward force in simple, whole numbers. It's exactly how a single mechanic can hoist an entire car engine block into the air.
Section 5. Summary and Next Steps.
Let's do a rapid-fire recap of the golden rules you need to lock into your memory today. 1. Simple machines multiply or augment force, but they usually do it at the expense of distance. 2. The formula for that multiplier, the mechanical advantage, is output force divided by input force, which can also be calculated by dividing the input distance by the output distance from the pivot. And 3. Energy is always conserved. Remember, you never get work for free. You just get a brilliant mechanical trade-off. Before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a fascinating question to ponder. We've talked a lot about crowbars and wheelbarrows, but what about your own physical body? Why are the forces acting inside your own joints, like your elbows and knees, several times larger than the forces your limbs exert on the outside world? Think about where your muscles attach to your bones relative to your joint pivots. Are your arms operating with a mechanical advantage of more than 1 or less than 1? It is a total mind-bending application of what we just learned, and we will unpack exactly how human biomechanics work in our next explainer. Until then, keep